All right, at Gannon's, we are back. The theme music is back. It was down when we were in Largs recording the pod. Everything's back in business. You're back in business. You're back in the winner's circle with the old double winner, the rare double winner. There's only so many weeks of the year that you get 2 PGA Tour events, and you take advantage. The Xander Whisperer confirmed. How are you feeling? How are you doing? How was your week?
Yeah, Largs could handle a lot, but they couldn't handle that intro music. So we overcame and we conquered. Obviously, got that outright winner. It was a beautiful feeling. I was happy how stress-free it was on the back nine. It felt eerily similar around hole 13, 14, maybe when he got the lead a little earlier than Rory had a lead at the U.S. Open. And I was like, all right, we got like a 2-shot lead now. Let's just be calm. I know any second you could blow up. You could probably blow up quicker at Troon than you could blow up at Pinehurst. So I was like, all right, let's just be calm, hit fairways, do what you got to do. And it wasn't much of a sweat after that 14th hole. No one really got into the mix once he made that putt. Was that the par 3 he birdied, I believe? So yeah, once he made that birdie in the par 3, I was like, I feel all right. Let's just get into the house. And yeah, awesome. And then I wasn't even expecting Nick Dunlap to come and win also because he was way far back. I was like, JJ Spawn's my best bet. And then I was on a golf course and I look at my phone. I see, oh, Nick Dunlap's got a 55 putt for eagle, 55-foot putt for eagle. Turn it on YouTube TV real quick, drains it. I was like, are we serious right now? So I immediately stopped focusing on the golf, meaning my own golf, and just sat in the golf cart and watched this because it was you don't get to sweat one winner ever in a day, rarely. So 2 winners, I had to give my full effort to it once the time came around. So it was an amazing week, extremely lucky, very happy to get it done.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, as someone who has had 4 solo final round leaders just in the month of July, but only one has come home. You got the scoring record, I believe, in the final round, the biggest comeback ever in Barracuda history from Nick Dunn. What do I need to do to maybe increase my luck? Is there anything you've been doing that brings something like that home? What should I be on the lookout for? What maybe for the listeners who maybe have been befallen by some bad golf luck? You got 2 comeback victories yesterday. Anything in the water? Like, what should we be doing?
Yeah, you definitely just got you got to hit the gym, at least when you don't want to hit the gym. That's all. That's basically what it is.
To get the cannons. I've been hitting. Actually, I will say probably over the last.
I know, and once you texted me, you started hitting the gym. You got all those.
Right, I've been hitting the gym pretty hard over the last couple of months. So maybe this is the week where I get to come back winner. I'm going to try to pick guys this week who can't have the lead until the final round. I'm going to try to pick guys intentionally.
Well, I feel like it's pretty common. I mean, the 54 hole leaders, you and I that win, we never have. But my winners usually come from behind. Your winners usually come from behind. But I've also had a ton of 54 hole leaders or guys within one or guys that have blown it within the last few months as well. So
I think I'm gonna add to the
get
model.
Those guys in
add to the model inverse round, like round 1, round 2, and round 3 scoring inverse. So like if you're bad in those rounds, I'm gonna add that into the model to increase the chance that we get guys who don't have the lead going into the final round. Because going into the final round, Jers was a man by the name of Billy Horschel. And this is what I wanted to ask you, because there was some serious dog on the leaderboard going into that.
I heard he was number 7 in the rankings. Is that true?
Yeah. Okay. I put out my dog rankings about a month ago. I had Billy Ho number 7. There was some people in the comments who said, how dare you put Billy Ho that high? He's not a good golfer. He sucks. And Jers, the dog rankings have nothing to do with are you a good golfer or are you not a good golfer? No. They are the dog rankings. There, if you are playing good that week, if that happens to be a week where you get it going, do you have the dog? And really, I think, we were obviously high on Troon the whole week. We thought it was a sick golf course. We kind of said flushers only. And I tweeted out like the correlation between the tee to green rankings for the week and the leaderboard were effectively the closest I think I've ever seen at any course. But not necessarily a lot of the guys there, besides obviously Xander, were guys who came in with great form, who you would have said these guys are flushers coming in, but they all had dog. Billy Ho's got dog.
And they flushed that week.
Right, and they're good in the wind. Like, Rose didn't look like he was playing in the wind most of the week. Like, I texted on Sunday, I think I was just like, Rose is flushing the ball. It looked like he didn't even know that it was windy. And then Thristy Law obviously a Masters champion. As we've said, they don't just give out Omega European Masters. Those are earned. Yeah. Those are serious trophies. And multiple time winner on the DP. Very random player. Like, we follow the DP pretty closely. He'll win once or twice a year, but it's impossible to know when he's going to do that. He had a generational driving performance, but long-winded question was going to be, of the guys who were up there maybe going to the back nine, I mean, very clearly Xander was playing the most consistent of those players and obviously the most proven player of those. Who scared you the most kind of maybe from the last 12 holes?
I can't lie. Like, I was far more scared than Tristan than I was like any point in Dan Brown, because Tristan is just so ignorant. Like you said, he's fearless. He wins once a year in zero form at like 100-1 in a DP World Tour field. Like, when this man's like, he'll win, then play good, then be like 25-1. He doesn't really win in those senses. He wins at random. So I was like, all right, he's playing another golf tournament. He doesn't know. He wants to win. And he's won a ton in his junior career, won a ton on the DP World Tour. So I was like, all right, he's got a lead now on the back nine. If he just gets in the house and clean, and obviously that didn't happen, but outside of him, I wasn't really scared of anyone. So, well, you mentioned that generational driving performance. They mentioned that they cut 2 inches off his driver, like me. So he had a 3-wood shaft in his driver. They kept saying that. So like, maybe I know what I'm doing off the tee now. So yeah, I thought that was interesting, but I was really only scared by him.
I was watching the Sky Sports stream on Sunday because you guys all hyped it up on Saturday, and like, part of me was watching just the NBC on Saturday, even though I knew that there was the Sky, just to be like, just to drink in how horrific of a broadcast it was. But the guy, he also does the DP. I think Rocket is his nickname, the guy who does the Sky Sports coverage. He just kept, like, every time Lawrence would drive, he was like, Lee Trevino just steps to the tee and rips it. Like, I don't know what, like, I know Trevino is a great player. I've never obviously seen him play in his prime, but apparently Thirsty Law driver comp was Lee Trevino.
That is so funny. Yeah, I did Sky on Saturday and I really enjoyed it, but I was at Seaside and we only have cable there, so we couldn't stream anything. But also quickly on Billy, the dog. I meant to text last night. Him shooting 3 under in that final round is so impressive. Like, he got off to a fine start.
Well enough to win. Like, Xander played one of the best rounds probably the best round of the year. You see, he said it was the best round of his life. But even Billy Ho, Rose, and Lawrence all played good enough to win on a different day.
Yeah, like, I was, again, those conditions weren't easy, obviously. And I texted in the chat, I was gonna try to bet like a Billy Ho over prop, like 71.5 or 72.5. Then it locked up on me after he made bogey on 8, and I was like, damn, I missed it. And then luckily I missed it because he came in so strong. Like, him shooting 3 under from being the 54-hole leader is so impressive. So shout out Billy. Definitely has dog. Might have to get bumped up in those dog rankings, because I don't know how you can get pushback for that. Like, this man won the Memorial in zero form, and when he's there, he's
like a
there.
Perfect example of the dog rankings. Like, Pablo's number one in the dog rankings. Pablo's been terrible this year, but when Pablo plays good, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be there till the end, and that's what we saw from Billy. Like, he didn't play bad at all in the final round. He played totally fine. He couldn't quite hit the iron shots ultimately to keep up with Xander on that back nine. Couldn't give himself the looks, but like, even down the stretch, I mean, he was basically out of it. But like 15, he had a long putt. He was giving the putts a run. Like, even though he wasn't hitting it close, he was still giving those putts a run. Billy Ho's got dog. We'll talk more open here in just a second, but just the housekeeping out of the gates. Obviously, thanks to everyone who supported the Boots on the Ground content last week. Obviously, I think pretty successful on all fronts there from the content side of things. I think are well on our way to it's going to be multiple months in a row of the best months for the site. So thanks to everybody who's coming over there. I think word's getting out that if you like talking ball, if you fancy yourself as a ball knower, that's who we're trying to cater for, trying to be ourselves as well. So things are going well. We really appreciate the support there. Of course, it's $10 a week, $9.99 a week, or $34.99 a month for that. Over there on the site. And I will say another Vic Lapp, the model in the majors this year, tremendous. Scottie number 1 at the Masters, Xander number 3 at the PGA, Bryson number 3 at the US Open, and Xander number 2 at the Open last week. So the model absolutely crushing it in major season, and obviously does pretty well most weeks. So if you're into that sort of content, that is over on the site. And then if not, again, you like the free content that we do here each week in the pod, just like and subscribe on YouTube, or if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, a nice little 5-star review, maybe a comment, all of those things just help this get out in front of more people. And the more people who are involved in the community and the Discord, that's just good for everybody. The Discord was firing all week this week, all sorts of different things. And as we always say, it's fun to see, like, we obviously post in the Discord, but what are we, 5-10% maybe of the total posts that go on in the Discord? And
yeah, like we advertise it as a ball knowers paradise. It's that pod for ball knowers, and we don't let you in if you don't pass the ball knower test. So like, everyone in there knows what they're talking about, and shout out them. They gave me a prop to look at, like no green on a hole, and Adam and I took a look at hole 17, and we're like, yeah, like, this makes sense. We're not gonna, guys aren't gonna hit this green at a high rate. But I would have never found that prop. Like that, I tweeted out my ticket of winning that 28-1 no green on day one. But all credit to the Discord. Like, I would have never even looked at that. I would just happen to be in Scotland and be like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Like, no guys are going to hit this green. So shout out the ball knowers in the Discord. They know what they're talking about. Tons of content. And we got the LPGA going now. I'm not sure how they're doing, but we have, I think, more in-depth LPGA info than anyone in the world, I would say, because you and I have looked for it online and we can't find it. Very comprehensive stuff. And DP World Tour, of course.
Yeah, obviously the DP. You said no DP. They're taking the week off after.
They're taking some time off. Their schedule is all jacked up this year, so they're taking some time off.
We'll keep our eyes on that. But yeah, like, I've just never bet the LPGA because I don't know enough about it and I don't know where to go for the information. Literally now there's like a very comprehensive conversation about the LPGA. So if you're into that, that is in the Discord as well. So let's get back to it. Let's talk Xander, because he's your guy officially without any doubts. When we were there, we saw Xander on Monday. He looked good. He was playing with Scottie and Sam and Pat, and he looked good, hitting the ball well. Then we got some reports. We didn't see him on Tuesday, but our guy Dave, who had boots on the ground with us as well, saw him, said he was hitting it well. I said to you, Jers, that I was down at Valhalla. I wasn't as down for Xander last week. You claimed I said he had no chance. I did not say that he had no chance, especially considering
you said because of the back nine, you didn't trust his drive.
Well, so that's what I was going to say. My concern with Xander for the week in general was if he could drive it straight down the stretch
under pressure.
And I wouldn't say he did. Like 12 and he on 11 and 12, he both missed the fairway. He hit great iron shots to like overcome that, but he kept it out of the really bad stuff. He was able to keep it in the short enough rough, and then obviously his approach play was great. But I was just admitting, hands up, that I didn't necessarily see it this week as much as Valhalla. So what was it about Xander that you really liked here, and maybe ultimately watching him in that final round, what jumped out to you is why he is a 2-time major champion and officially your guy?
Yeah, I mean, after I remember we were in the airport where they're going to put the plaque out, I said, this is the best thing I've ever written, because I happened to finish my Xander write-up, and it was probably a lot longer than it should have been, because when I sent it to you, you said, this is long.
I had to, when I like clipped the screenshots to post on Twitter, I had to zoom out my computer from 100% to 80% to fit the whole thing in the screenshot.
Yeah, I just kept like rambling on how much I loved Xander during the week, because he's so complete. He obviously is the most complete golfer on tour. That's not a hot take. He does everything well, and does everything well above average. And then I'm a big narrative guy as well as the stats, because I just that blurb I said, like, imagine talking to your buddies in 3 years. Oh, remember when Xander Schauffele won 2 majors in a year after being a loser for a decade? I could just see that happening, because it happens. That guys win in bunches, and it happened again. Like, no one's really surprised that Xander Schauffele won. He's got to nut up and pull the trigger. Maybe a number. I got a good number, but I would have been down at around 15-1, 14-1. You got to nut up and pull the trigger, because things happen. The only, like, you can't crazy things happen even when you don't expect them to happen, basically.
Yeah, I think the one thing that won him the tournament, I mean, he gained 4.6 strokes on approach in the final round. That's pretty good. Yeah. He gained 2.25 on Saturday. So what is that over the weekend? Almost 7 strokes on approach. That's going to get the job done. And what we said about him is, given a clean iron look, Xander's probably the best iron player on tour or in golf. And we've been saying that for most of the year. I think too, when you get to these courses where it's not point and shoot iron play. Like there may be guys, Scottie, for example, if it's slapdick TPC and you need to throw a dart to 3 feet with your iron play, maybe there's some other guys. But when you have to be thoughtful about your iron shot, you got to consider the trajectory. I think some of the best shot he hit, the one that probably won him the tournament, was that shot out of the rough on 11 that he ran up to basically tap in range.
Like a wedge.
Yeah, his ability to control flights and trajectory with his iron play and hit it the right distance, I think, is his big differentiator. And that was what we saw amongst most of these guys at the top of the leaderboard. It wasn't just purely TrackMan golf. I think Andy left a comment to what you said on Twitter saying like not TrackMan golf, and I totally agree. This was ball strikers who have different types of shots, who can hit it high and low and shape it in all different types of directions. And that is Xander Schauffele. Like you said, most complete golfer. And I think talking about like guys like Billy Ho and Rose, when you think of them, you're like, those guys are just golfers. Like they can't compete everywhere, but they're just golfers. Xander can compete everywhere. And he has that same like skill set that some of those more older players, I guess, to describe it, like lack of word, like he plays kind of an old style game combined with a modern game, I think is maybe how I would describe it.
No, I agree. And shout out Austin, his caddy, Austin Kaiser, he is lapping the course 24/7 when Xander's not out there, getting a ton of reads on the green. And they did not put well on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, but they just kept giving themselves great looks, and it was just a matter of time before they would start dropping. I was getting a tad frustrated. We missed 2 5-foot putts it was Thursday and Friday, like combined. And I was like getting frustrated that they weren't dropping. And then they finally started dropping because obviously no one was getting better looks than Xander. He was just the most consistent, not necessarily out of the fairway, but just, off the tee into the fairway, but into the green. He was giving himself so many 20 to 30-foot looks. And not that that's amazing, but at a course where you only have to get to single digits, it's beautiful. And he was just doing it hole after hole, and they finally started dropping. So shout out Austin, great prep this week, got him in great spots, and read some great putts.
Yeah, I almost tweeted that about Austin because I saw on Xander's presser that he did before the week started that I can't remember what the question was, but he basically said like, I trust Austin. I think Austin's one of the hardest working caddies out here, and I trust him. And most players in an interview will say, that they love their caddy, that they're hardworking or whatever. I thought it was funny too, because like before the week, Lowry had said that Rory's caddy is the hardest working caddy. Like, how could anybody question him?
We laughed at that, right?
We laughed at that because we go there and we see Austin from the second that we walk onto the property until we leave at night. Xander's maybe practicing on the course for 3 of those hours at most, maybe 2 to 3 playing a practice round. Austin's walking the course the entire time. Like he's always out there. He'll walk with other groups to kind of make for a second just to see how they're hitting it and things like that where they're playing. So undoubtedly, there's maybe a handful of guys that I can think that we always see out there walking the course. Rory's caddy would not be one of those. So I thought that quote was outlandish. And in general, Rory's prep, I'd say when we go to the course is probably the worst of the top players that we see when we go to these events. Like I'm just being honest, you can see it when you're there. It isn't the same. Xander's up there in the prep, and Austin's a huge part of it. And it ultimately, when people say like, oh, the caddy doesn't matter, like, oh, the player has to hit the shots. Sure. But there's only one other guy that can impact you over the 5 hours you're playing in a golf round at this high of pressure. Come on, the caddies are of extreme importance out there.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of obviously when guys win multiple majors, we get the Grand Slam talk. I might tweet something to rile it up a little bit, just like to get people pissed off. How many Grand Slams would Rory have if Ted Scott was his caddy his whole career?
Or
I would say 2 right now.
Or even one of these other like guys that we see out there that's just walking the course the whole time. And on that, I was going to save it for a little bit later, but you just brought it up, so let's hit it now. I tweeted this out, but I got a question that I think is now a really interesting debate for like a podcast debate talking about golf. Is who of the current players is most likely to get the career Grand Slam next? So to first, basically, of the guys who don't have a career Grand Slam. I think this is the list, but tell me if I'm missing somebody. Spieth needs the PGA. Rory obviously needs the Masters. And then there's a variety of guys with 2, like Rahm needs an Open and a PGA. Colin needs a Masters and a U.S. Open. Bryson obviously needs everything that's not the U.S. Open. Scottie needs everything that's not the Masters. There's plenty of guys who have one major. I'm trying to think. Are there any other two major guys that I...
Brooks?
Yeah, Brooks needs the Masters and the Open. So of these guys, and like I said, there's probably somebody we're missing. I'm trying to pull up the list.
And Xander needs...
Yeah, and then obviously Xander needs the Masters now and the U.S. Open. Yeah, I've got the list of guys now. I'm trying to see if there's anybody. No, I think that's the gist.
Honestly,
and then there's guys like DJ, obviously, but even DJ, he's got a U.S. Open.
Yeah.
So of these guys now, as of this moment, who do you think is the most likely to finish off the Career Grand Slam? First.
I mean, if you're asking me this 2 years ago, my Rory Augusta thing, but it's time and time again I've been wrong. Honestly, Rahm. I do not mind Rahm, but if Rahm, something needs to happen with his scheduling the next 2 years, because if he just plays on live we don't know for the next 3 years, it's not going to happen. But if he's playing a full schedule, I think it will happen.
And I will say, as somebody who was on Rahm last week, I think I saw a tweet that he statistically was in the worst draw of all the guys who ended up playing pretty good. Rahm had far and away the worst draw. He played really good.
Played so well, which we knew he would. He played so well.
Yeah. Of the guys at the top, Xander obviously the best on the week. Rahm, I think, of the big names, the second best performance. I really like his chances of winning an Open. Like it just makes sense for him. He made what I genuinely like. We watch golf every week. We sweat golf every week. I'm not going to say this unless I pretty much believe it. Like his decision to not drive it over the hazard on Friday when every other guy was just bombing it over the hazard, and he had just hit 400-yard drives carrying it like 320, 330. And then so if he does that, obviously he still needs to hit the fairway for it to like perfectly pay off. But even if he misses the fairway, he's past the water. Like his ball cannot go into the hazard. It would be 0%, like impossible. It cannot happen. Yep. And for him to then bring that into play by laying up and then hit it into the hazard, I can't. It's honestly the worst decision.
Were you watching it live?
I've ever seen. Yeah, I texted like in the Discord because a lot of people had Rahm. They were like, I literally texted before he even got to the tee, I really hope he hits driver and just goes for it. That is mind-blowingly stupid. Yeah. And again, you bring the caddy into it. Which caddy did we not see caddying for his player on Monday? Adam Has was not on the bag of
was MIA on Monday.
MIA on Monday. So like that was on like so stupid. But what came to mind was you have been watching Rahm on live because you bet Rahm on live single bullet every week. You've been saying he's been doing dumb stuff like that all year.
Yeah, I literally bet Rahm 5 times on live single bullet, and I've been saying he's been playing so well. It's just like subtle, stupid decisions that are ruining his chances. Because obviously he's finishing inside the top 5, top 10 every single week, and he's just up to anywhere from 3 to 5 strokes off, which is, sometimes a lot, but still, that could save you a ton of strokes and be right there. So I feel like that really proved it to you what Jon Rahm has been doing, because he's playing such good golf, and it's just subtle decisions that are just really fucking him on come to win.
Yeah.
Comes on that.
So I like Rahm in the Grand Slam conversation. I think the PGA is probably the hardest one for him to win, just because it's like.
But I still think it's more random, but it's definitely, if there's someone who can get hot, like he can win a birdie fest. Not saying it's gonna be a birdie fest, but like if it was.
I really like. Obviously, I think Brooks right now is indifferent. I don't think he can be the choice of these guys. I still think he maybe gets in his career, but the next guy, I don't know if it would be Brooks. So for me, it then becomes Xander, Colin, or Bryson, and I could see the angles for each of them. Or I guess Bryson's only got the US Open, so let's take Bryson out. So it's Colin or Xander. I really like Colin because I think we've seen how he's played at the Masters the last couple of years. Like the Masters makes so much sense for Colin, especially with his improved short game. And then the US Open, Colin's always played good in the US Open as well. So I think like Colin in Rahm and Xander is who I would like kick around. Xander obviously has played well at the Masters too. And I think there's plenty of his like consistency in the US Open is as good as anyone. And then there's obviously the Rory at the Masters and the Spieth at the PGA. If I had to pick somebody, I think I will go Colin. Just because like Colin's played so good this year. He played fine last week. He didn't putt very well, but I like where Colin's game is trending. I still think he's the pro's pro. If I had to pick a guy right now who still finishes off, give me Colin to do it.
Yeah, and his game is just going to hold up for so many
Yeah.
years, more than any of these guys. He plays his game. He doesn't hit the ball far. Doesn't need to hit the ball far, but he doesn't hit the ball short. Like, he hits the ball well.
And honestly,
far enough.
like, if you're thinking about this, I guess you'd have to consider the fact that there might be the rollback at some point. Like, it's not like next year necessarily these guys are going to finish the career Grand Slam. It could be a decade before somebody actually does it. If there's any changes to those types of things, and it becomes even more like not how far you hit it, that's only going to help Colin. So,
I do like Colin.
But yeah, an interesting debate and something super fun to watch. Like, for the longest time, obviously, it was Rory and Spieth were like the only guys even close. Then Brooks. Now, because those guys haven't taken the step and closed the deal, we've got a lot of guys starting to percolate in the career Grand Slam going into the majors conversation. So I think next year and the years to come is shaping up to be quite interesting. One of the guys that we didn't just mention in that conversation is the world number one. He is the king of TPC courses. He's the king of limited field events, Jers. He is Scottie Scheffler. And for the most part, he looked a lot like Xander for the first 3 days. Like, everything was going well. It was a stripe show from Scottie. But it was the putter for the first time in a while that really looked suspect, ultimately ejecting for good on number 9 when he was playing hockey there with that pin. What's your kind of summary of the year so far for Scottie? What did you think about him last week? You had Xander tied with him going into the final round. What's the state of the union on Scottie right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what you and I can say about Scottie, because we've been dead right with Scottie in every single event that we've went to this year, and it looked the part. Like, he was playing really good golf. I would say we were probably more in the wrong than we were in the right, although I still believe if they have this event 10 times at a season, Scottie would win 7 of them at Troon.
Yeah,
you agree?
I mean, the question we probably would have had about him was like, how would he hold up in the windy conditions or the difficult conditions? Would he be able to use his ball striking as such a differentiator like he usually does? He did. I mean, he was excellent.
Yeah, he was
tee to green pretty much the whole week. That 3 what he hit into 17 might be the greatest shot in the history of golf. I mean, and absolutely,
it's up there.
Guys couldn't get there with their driver, and he hit his 3-wood to tap in range. But I don't know if Scottie should play the playoffs. I think Scottie should sit out the FedEx Cup.
You guys could have it. Just do your thing.
Yeah, because like, he's probably going to win it. He'll probably win like 1 or 2 playoff events. And I don't know if that would be good for his career. I know he doesn't have a FedEx Cup, but Scottie becoming like PGA Tour all caps like guy who wins the Comcast, like a extremely better version of
that's what he is though.
What should we make of this situation? Because I think we've been thinking about him as like the next Tiger, with all of his stats and stuff. But Tiger would have won another major in this. Xander won 2 majors this year. Like,
but at least he won one though. I feel like the conversation would be a lot different if he was MIA in all of them.
If he didn't win 1 major, I would be.
He might be. Yeah, I agree. I think it swung a little bit too far. Shout out Andy. The pendulum has swung a little bit too far. I think he's fine. He played well enough to win from tee to green. He put himself out of it, and he was so like that putt he missed those. That's 2 strokes right there, and then him going in the a horrible swing on 17 cost him 2 strokes or 1 stroke. You can't say that if he didn't do that he wins. You could say that about every golfer in the field. He's fine. Like, he finished T7, I believe. His prop for finishing position was, I think, 5.5 or 6.5, just like market adjusted, and he went below it. So maybe we were wrong on him, but I still think 7 out of 10 times if this event is held, he wins. That's true.
Yeah, and I obviously Scottie's fine. Like I'm just saying, he's probably going to win the rest of the tournaments on the PGA Tour this year. But at some point, you can win too many PGA Tour tournaments, and at your major win to PGA Tour win ratio needs to stay within, like, Xander's only won majors now. Like, that's apparently all that he's going to do this year. So my assessment of a player is both dog and your PGA Tour performance versus major performance. And Scottie, the pendulum for Scottie has swung too far into being TPC slapdick tournament winner. I think he should take the rest of the season off so that I don't have any more examples to back up this. Because he probably wins every tournament the rest of the year.
if Xander won players and Valhalla, I mean, no, players and Quail, does he win the majors? Maybe one.
Probably. I mean, it seems to me like now that he knows how to win,
Floodgates, dude.
he
Floodgates.
doesn't
What I
really
said.
care
Floodgates.
anymore. Like when it's dialed for him, it's dialed. I don't know if, like, you said Scottie probably wins this 7 out of 10 times. I'd actually say it's probably Xander who wins this one 7 out of 10 times. Like
complete player, yeah.
Is just more complete in the conditions. And like Scottie always looked uncomfortable out there. His swings were way more exaggerated. Like the moves he was doing looked way more awkward. I mean, it was the end of the tournament. It was 72nd hole, but he shanked one into, like, you never see Scottie do that. He was just not, to me, as comfortable as Xander looks in these conditions. And then I think like the PGA, that one may probably a little bit different. We know what happened at the PGA for Scottie. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Yeah. I think like we're at a point where all the talk has been about Scottie and how great he is in the numbers. And now we've got Xander winning 2 majors. We've got Bryson winning a major and playing good in the rest of the majors. Scottie only has the Masters so far. Now Xander has more like depth of majors. There's other guys who have more. We just talked about him, Colin, Rahm, these guys who have won at different styles of golf. Of course, Scottie, you get on the track, man, and you hit the best shots that you could ever hit. Schottie's going to beat everybody every single time. I thought I would see more this year of him doing it in different conditions. And so I guess we'll have to wait until next year, and maybe Scottie wins the Grand Slam next year. But I think that's like my take, is that just I want to see it kind of more around the board than we've seen so far.
I mean, interesting to see what he does at the new playoff course and just how he does in the FedEx Cup, because if he just really just wipes everyone, then we got to be like, all right, Scottie, now do it next year. You have to win 2. The line is 1.5.
Right, and that's why I think he should take the rest of the year off, because that pressure would be like everybody would be like, you better fucking win on the majors because you were so good on the PGA Tour. If he doesn't win the FedEx Cup, if he takes the rest of the season off and just shows up next year to start the season, people will be like, "Oh, Scottie, welcome back."
He's good, yeah.
Good to see you.
Also, question: how are you feeling after the travel in Largs? Because I will say,
I don't know if you see my eyes.
I am tired is an understatement, but that's what the boots will do to you. Like, you got to put in the steps.
Honestly, I thought I was going to be sick because we slept how many hours? 12 total over like Friday.
Like over 5 days.
5 days, an insanely small amount of sleep, because we were grinding. We were either at the course at Troon, writing about Troon, or playing golf. We didn't we legitimately did, or at Spoons, at Weatherspoons, getting food. I saw a tweet from somebody. We ate most of our meals at Weatherspoons because in Largs there wasn't much else, and obviously people in the UK will know Weatherspoon, but if you're in the US, I would describe it as like Chili's meets Red Robin meets Outback Steakhouse meets like a bar, like all in one. Is that kind of how you would think about it?
Yeah, it was a very interesting dynamic, and if you're from the UK, you know what Weatherspoons is. You could surely shit on us for eating there.
Yeah,
but
that's what
the pubs disrespected us. They did. Yeah. They disrespected us. Everyone that I mentioned, talked to Scotland about, like, how was your trip? The follow-up question was, how was the pubs? And I was like, not great, man. They weren't great. So
yeah, and
the Largs locals did not love the Americans.
And I've been to Scotland before, and I've been to the pubs in it, and it was great. And I've also been to Ireland, and the pubs are great in Ireland. We stood out, I think, as we're not from Largs. I don't know if Largs gets a lot of non-Scottish visitors. It didn't seem like it did, because every time we walked into a pub, everyone would stare look at us, and then no one would come and like help us, or we couldn't, or like the vibes were bad at the pubs, which was a little bit too bad, because like we went to watch, for example, the England Spain final. We couldn't really find a spot because it was an unwelcoming environment, but it was so welcoming at Weatherspoons. It was, and so when we talked to Dave, and I knew that this would happen. Like, I'm sure the UK people are laughing. They're like, Weatherspoons sucks. Like, only like losers eat at Weatherspoons. Cheap. The food was genuinely pretty good. Like, we didn't have a lot of options in Largs, and it was solid enough. So shout out Spoons. I don't think you hit Xander right if we didn't go to Spoons.
If I didn't see the sunset at 11:30 p.m.
elite sunset
outside of Spoons, go scroll up on my Twitter, because I posted. Everyone knows the sunset at 10:30 p.m. on the west coast of Scotland is unlike anything you've ever seen. This thing was immaculate. So shout out Spoons, got the job done. Definitely filled. I ate a lot in that trip. Definitely gained a few pounds, but it's all worth it. You gotta live sometimes.
Where did this take start? I genuinely don't remember how we got to this point. What were we talking about before we started talking about Weatherspoons?
I think I think he just wanted to bring it up.
Okay. I
Oh
genuinely.
no, I
You
said
were
because
sick.
how you
You were
feeling?
sick.
How you
Yeah, you
feeling?
were
Yeah.
sick. You're sick. Okay. But I'm feeling good. That was what I was going to say. The surprise is that I got good sleep. Well, I didn't actually get good sleep, but I went to bed somewhat early when we got back on Wednesday. I woke up around 6 to watch the golf, and then I kind of stayed in Scotland time for the rest. Like it was nice to
Yeah,
be
me
able to
too.
watch the golf, and because usually I go to bed really late. Like I'll go to bed at 1, 2 a.m. most nights, and then like I still get my 8 to 9 hours, but my day is always shifted. I just do better work at night. That's like when I like to do stuff. I shifted to an early morning like Scottish time zone, and yeah, like I feel good. Surprisingly.
Yeah, I mean, I was sadly. I think what it was because I got back to New Jersey, and like my friends were like, "Yeah, we're going out.
Yeah,
It's
that's
Friday.
what
It's
you
Friday. We're
freak
going
out.
out." And then I was like, "All right, like yeah, but I gotta wake up at 7 a.m. Like I gotta watch the G, man. Like so, take it easy a little bit." And then like, but it was beautiful. Like waking up. Like I woke up Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on the dot to watch Xander tee off. But Thursday, Friday, I was up. I was up 1:30 to 3:30 on Thursday. Then I woke back up at like 5, and then Friday morning I was up at 4. So those 2 days were grinds. Weekend was a
Yeah,
little
and
bit
that's
better.
maybe I'm benefiting probably this week from like being a little older, like live with my girlfriend and our dog. Like we can
Yeah,
keep it low key,
you have a
like, and she'll
dog?
just be like, yeah, you know that. We talked about that.
I forgot actually.
But you get back and your friends are like, and you're in Jersey Shore. Like obviously Manhattan's always popping, but it also doesn't
Yeah,
have to be. Like I can just go to Central Park and chill and have like a relaxed day and still like
right.
enjoy New York. You're in the Jersey Shore. Like you get back, you need to be going out to the bars. You need to be having a good time.
Like
That's what
what?
got you, which is good. I'm happy
Yeah,
for you.
like you don't live on the Jersey Shore and not go out.
Right.
Like I don't know. It's
What's
fun.
your favorite Jersey Shore? I've never been, but I'm sure there's people who have been who are listening. What's as a local? What's your number one bar at the Jersey Shore?
I would say I mean the Tuesday night bar A really gets the job done because there's nothing like you can always go to a local bar on a weekday and have a good time with your boys, but there's not a more like lit environment on a Tuesday that I can imagine on like a regular basis outside of like a festival, which would be like a here and there thing. So Tuesday night bar A, get there at 6, leave there by 10:30, and you have a great night, and the beers are 25 cents. So how could you beat that?
That I'm sold on Jersey, and that's a perfect transition into
To
a
the
guy who
3 a.m. open.
into a guy who drinks a reasonable amount of beers. Shane Lowry. What did you make of Shane Lowry's week? Because obviously he got off to a great start. And what did I say to you on a Tuesday at Boots? We were walking the course. We were trying to think of guys that we hadn't really seen. I said, Jersey, we haven't seen Shane Lowry. It would not surprise me in the slightest to see Shane Lowry holding the claret jug at this course. The wind was going to blow. It reminded me of Royal Port Rush. Like this was Shane Lowry golf for sure. Neither of us pulled the trigger because the odds were insane. They were like 45-1 on Lowry,
Yeah.
which I think he was just like 90-1 at Travelers. And I'd bet him a couple weeks before. He plays great. The third round befalls him. I don't. He to me kind of came across a little bit as an asshole. Like you hit the ball that is headed for the gorse. You were headed for a lost ball. You were headed for a penalty stroke at minimum, maybe 2. A member of the gallery or like a marshal
It
stands
was a
in front of
radio
your
guy.
ball,
He was said it on the radio that oh shit, I hit Shane Lowry's ball.
hits his leg, keeps the ball in play, and then after Lowry hits a poor third, he berates this guy. Like that was insane to me. You don't see a lot of golfers doing that. Like these guys get angry on the course. I've never seen that. So all in all, I think for me it was a bad week for Lowry because I now actually think less of Lowry than I did coming into the week,
I agree.
even though he played really good. What's your stance on Shane?
Yeah, I mean, once you brought up Shane Lowry during the week, I was like, yeah, I actually like Shane Lowry too. And then shout out Tom Jacobs over at Mayo Media Network. He said, Marcus, I don't want to steal his take or quote. If his name wasn't Shane Lowry, he'd be double the odds, which is
Yeah.
a total fact. Like even the exact same stat profile coming in, he's double the odds. But he came in striping, and then I remember we were sitting there in the airport, and I was like, I'm going to decide between one of Shane Lowry or Pat Cantlay because they both make somewhat sense. They're both around 45-1, and then the more went back and forth. I'm like, I'm gonna get this wrong. I'm going with neither of them. So happily, I went with neither of them because who knows what I would have went with outside of that. But yeah, I want to like Shane Lowry. Like he's a fun guy, like fun to root for. He's like got the great personality. But when he was like yelling at the fans, is like being a dick to like the camera guys more than once. It's if it happens once, like, whatever. But like this has became like a trend for Shane Lowry, and CP posted the clip from him from the Ryder Cup, in the rough chipping, yelling at the gallery too. So like we want to like you, Shane Lowry. Like you're a fun guy, and you can play decent golf, and you can't win, but come on.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You're not a winner.
Lowry's whole image is he's like seems like one of the most fun guys that you would want to hang out with. Like I would put him in the top 10 of like guys who you'd want to get a beer with. But then these things, I put him in the top least 10 guys of like most respectable just people on tour on the course to these people who are just trying to do their job, taking photos or being a marshal. Like they're not trying to fuck you up. They have zero interest in doing that. So that was a little disappointing from Shane, but did you think going into the weekend they had a great chance to win when he had the lead, or what was your thoughts?
I mean, if the conditions like stayed really tough, I'm down for some Shane. I didn't really think he was gonna eject as big as he did, but I didn't necessarily think he was going to like win. But he battled back on Sunday. But I thought he would be more like firmly in the mix on Sunday than he was, because what did he finish? Like he came in like 40 or something on Sunday. Yeah, I mean on Saturday. I mean.
He finished sixth. Really, he fought back nicely in the final round.
So what I'm saying, what did he finish on Saturday? I think he finished at 1 under after being 7 or 8 under at point.
If he shoots plus 2 or 3, he's right there. So yeah,
so I didn't expect him to really eject like that.
What like there's this? I know we're long on talking about the Open, but I think it was one of the most intriguing, interesting majors in a long time. Like it was just fun to watch. Speaking of the Lowry ejection, how on a scale of 1 to the sickest thing you've ever seen, how sick was that back nine when guys were having to hit driver off the deck on multiple holes, and we saw driver into a par 3 jers? I don't think it will ever get better than that. When they panned to the leader of the tournament, every hole I was like, don't let this end, because guys are going to be making 12s before we know it. Like they were getting so beat down both mentally and physically about the conditions. That was so sick.
Yeah, and I texted in the chat, I need -4. I was like, I need -4. Speaking on Xander's, like, to get in the clubhouse at -4, because he's playing the back 9 even par and heading to 18, which is one of the lesser difficult holes. And he put in the bunker, ended up making a 5, and I was pissed. But then as I was like, damn, he's -3 now. He might be like 3 back. Who knows? And then every single hole, something would happen, whether it was DB, Lowry. Shout out DB, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, actually. DB. What I mean, you follow the DP. We both follow the DP. You hit DB last year in an event. To me, it was one of the randomest.
You win the ISPS Handa. That might have been one of the most random things ever.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I think I texted on Saturday that DB winning the Open would have been the craziest thing I've ever seen in sports. Yeah, he's not good. Like he's truly random year of the week. Like when you look up random year of the week in the dictionary, this is to the extreme. No one on the DP he's a triple-digit golfer on the DP.
Right. Yes. And he, like, the fact that he stole the first round leader, I was like, this guy, Daniel freaking Brown, but like it kind of like warmed my heart because like I had him last year, like my guy. But when he won, it was literally like he came onto the PGA or the DP World Tour from the Challenge Tour, from mini tours, and had like some decent form. Like his first event, I believe, he played really, really well in, and he played okay, and then he was trending with good ball striking stats and ended up winning. But this time around, came in, I think it was 7 missed cuts or withdrawals in his last 7 starts or something like that, and you saw what happened. Absurd. And he had stones the whole week, like every par, I think.
Yeah, until the final, basically every time where I was like, he's done, like he's toast. I thought that so many times on Friday and Saturday, and then he was leading the tournament going to 18 on Saturday. He should have had the lead going into the final round. He was the best player over 53 holes of the tournament. It was extraordinary.
What he was doing off the tee was absurd. And then Tristan took all of his off the tee powers on the weekend. Like that was, those two guys being the random Euros of the week were really hilarious.
I think
it was a great Open.
It was so good. Like for a ball knowers, for people who watch the DP and the PGA Tour and live, just people who like world golf. Like I consider us connoisseurs of the global game of golf. Like we'll watch it wherever. We'll watch the Japan Tour. It doesn't matter. Like we're down for finding these guys. You could have given me a million guesses, and I never would have come up with this leaderboard. Because then it's because the American guys like Billy being up there, Rose has he has no business mixing in majors, and that's the third time in the last 2 years, both PGAs and here, where Rose was legitimately in the conversation.
Dog.
Like
he's in the. We gotta get him on the list.
Absolutely, he's the level. You look at his face, and you see dog. He was like, they would pan to him because him and Xander in the final round were for sure the most like where it kind of felt like a battle. Like Xander was winning the battle easily.
I'm happy to play together.
Yeah, but until probably the 12th or 13th hole, they were pretty like Rose got off ahead of Xander
a while,
yeah. And then they became even around the turn, and then Xander really like took off on Rose made
11.
bogey on 12, or Xander made birdie on 11 to tie, and then Rose made that bogey on 12, and then
timeout. Xander's approach into 12 was insane when he drove it into the left hay.
Yeah.
And I think whoever was there said this is the worst lie I've ever seen. And he hit it like a low runner with a 7-iron to like 50 feet. That was absurd. He just has so much power and speed because you saw like for example, me, I'm an average golfer, but I can golf my ball. I could not get the ball out of the
you literally went for like 5 holes in a row. You literally almost missed the ball, and basically in the Troon rough.
And no, but it was way easier than the Troon rough. Like way easier than the Troon rough. The Troon rough was so thick. I'm comparing myself to a professional golfer right now. This sounds stupid.
You also said on the last pod that your player comp was Scottie Scheffler. So I mean, you're high on.
I said Scottie. I said Scottie Scheffler before he ever won.
Yeah, I said Peter.
I think that's fair.
I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum.
No, but you're a PGA Tour winner though.
That's true. Scotty's the master champion. But like to your point,
who's my player comp then? Do you see how I swing?
I've been trying to think about it. I'll at the end of the pod. Let me see if I can think about it by the end of the pod. Okay. But your point on Xander out of the rough, because he did the same thing on 11. Those shots were insane. Like his ability to control the trajectory. Because even when the ball was landing, and I could honestly do a 5-hour pod just on Royalty because it's a sick golf course. Because
imagine not going, dude. I'm so happy we went.
Yeah, going was that was far and away our best boots trip. Like the combination of us, we played Prestwick, and they were like hyping up Prestwick on the broadcast, and they were doing all this like behind the scenes.
Dude, they had Prestwick stuff at
first
out at Prestwick on Tuesday morning.
We like, it was unbelievable.
100 through 4.
Yeah, all in all, the Scottish boots was sensational. And we're deep into the pod now. We're not even, who knows when we'll get to 3M, but you have I'm not going to say it yet, but you have another boots that you really want to do this year. And we told the listeners that boots was probably done for the year. I did look into it last night, and the prices are reasonable, Juice. There's I would say an increasing chance that there may be another boots this year. So thanks again for everybody who supports it. We try to do our very best. Like we give, like, this time we played golf each day, but we squeeze in golf amongst like all of this other shit that we're doing. We clicked send on this final step for the site as we were like sprinting to the flight. Like we give the people all that we can possibly give them.
Yeah, it was literally, they were going to make a plaque in the Manchester airport about how 2 guys were just sprinting to the flight, writing a absolute novel. For multiple tournaments, we still handicapped the CUDA and handicapped it well.
Yeah, I had Pendy. Pendy should have won. Pendy played like an idiot. Like he had it. I almost bet Mac Mice. Dude, Meissner should have won. Like, what was he doing in the final round? That was embarrassing.
Yeah, he looked lost. He looked lost. But I really thought Pendy was going to win. He should have won
because Mice was so dialed the first few days of that tournament, and then he looked awful. But just all in all, the Royalty is this is what I was going to say, is that even once you hit the fairway, which is no guarantee, like you need to hit a good drive to get in the fairway. What I will say nowadays, though, is like these guys just drive it so straight. Those drives are hard, and the guys were hitting it in the fairway so often. It's a joke how straight these guys drive the ball. It doesn't in general, like even long irons and woods, so many times when we're there and guys are like 240, 250, 260 out from the green, and there maybe even is wind. Before they hit, what goes on in my head is there's no way he gets this anywhere near like where he's trying to go. And they just hit it so straight, no curve or nothing. And obviously, if you're listening, you're like, no, duh, they're professional golfers. But it just blows your mind when you see it with your eyes because it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And their ability just to hit it straight with the clubs now makes these courses a little bit easier. But then even going into those greens, like it was raining, like it was wet on Saturday. The greens were still firm. The reason it was playing so hard is because the guys didn't get the luxury of it being soft and wet. All they got was soaked, and then the rough got wet, but the greens were still firm. You still had to control your trajectory. It was so good.
And honestly, we really didn't even get the win that we were there in. It was not like that at all. And I was definitely wrong about the wind, like predicting the tournament win. But that's why I said I don't want to try to predict the tournament win. I just wanted to give my like estimate. So if it would have played the win that we got it in, the back nine scoring average would have been triple what it was.
Yeah. How it played on Saturday is how it normally plays.
Like Saturday, the last 2 hours of Saturday was how it was all week. Like absolute carnage. In the front nine, it made the front nine like TPC deer run, but it made the back nine like the heart. I can't nothing incomparable to anything else.
We were talking about that before we left, that if you grew up on Royal Troon, if you were like 4 years old and you were given golf clubs and you said for the rest of your living days you play golf at Royal Troon, you don't play any other courses, I'm not even going to like teach you golf. Here are the clubs, and the end goal of you with these clubs is to learn how to hit a golf ball in the fewest number of shots into the hole. I'm stunned that we don't have like 10 of the top 20 players in the world who all grew up in Troon playing Royal Troon.
Might be one of them.
And Colin Montgomery apparently grew up playing. He's like one of the best European golfers ever. But it is such a good test. And I tweeted out before the week that it was going to be. We didn't go there thinking that Troon was going to be like we thought Pine was like the pinnacle, but Pine and Troon back to back is a sick combination of majors because Pine. Obviously we got the good conditions, but it still became so bomber controlled. Like this was anybody's ball game. This was show up and be the best golfer. And that's why Xander's the champion golfer of the year. And it makes sense why he won. And shout out to you for being on him because has 2 majors this year. He's been the best golfer this year. And this course identified the best golfer.
Yeah. I mean, such an amazing test. We could talk about Troon for another hour if we really wanted to. It was just everything you could ask for, and I'm glad the reception that it got was amazing. Everyone loved it. Waking up, the Open's always fun to wake up to, but it's different when you're waking up to 20 under St. Andrews to this absolute test of complete golf, hitting irons off tees, hitting different clubs into greens, guys hit in the same round, irons off of a tee and driver into a green. Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
I'm not like, I wasn't growing up. I played a lot of golf, I caddied, but like, it hasn't been until I started going to the boot stuff that I began to like appreciate the architecture of a golf course. And you really start to understand like why, when people who are really into architecture, like what are they talking about? But then you go see it and you're like, oh, this makes sense what they're talking about. The ability for, and obviously there's been redesigns of the course, and at Troon, one of the big benefits and why I think they're going to be able to play Troon as an open venue into perpetuity is there's so much room to move the tees back. Basically, the entire middle of the course between the front and the back where the fans are is very wide and very open. They can just keep moving the tees back and angling them ever so slightly. They're going to be able to play Troon forever. But the ability to design that course however many years ago, basically at the start of golf, and have it be that good at standing up to the test of the modern game. That guy's a fucking genius who designed that is insane stuff.
Do you remember your quote saying, like, you remember your quote when we left Troon for the final time? Do you remember what you said about that? You said when he designed Troon, he knew that they were going to have the 2024 Royal, the 2024 Open Championship, and how I'm going to absolutely fuck these golfers. And here we have it. Like, let's do it. Like, so he's watching and seeing it happen.
Royal Troon. That man.
Yeah, he did an unbelievable job and had an unbelievable
championship. George Strath, Willie Fernie, and James Braid. And James Braid has designed a lot of those Scottish course along the coast. That area, I mean, again, we'll stop, but we could go on about I I've been a reasonable amount of places now in Scotland, and it's always amazing everywhere. Like if you like golf and you find a way to be able to do it, we were talking about Pine as like the greatest golf trip that you could make. That's in America. Just if you're going to spend that much money anyway, because going to Pine, going to Bandon Dunes, going to these places costs a fuck ton of money still. The lodging is reasonably cheap if you stay in like an Airbnb. The food is cheap. The flights are if from New York, like flying from New York to Bandon, or something like that. It's not that big of a difference. Find a way to get to Scotland. And if you can do it, we saw a lot of people who were clearly like getting on the plane and stuff like that, who were obviously they're not doing boots. They're not doing content. We're the boots guys. We're the only ones doing boots, but they were going to the Open just for fun. And they were also playing golf around. Like going there for a week with your boys and like going to the Open and also golfing I get that there's probably a lot of people listening who that's an expensive thing. Like that's a once in a lifetime probably opportunity to do. But if you're listing off once in a lifetime opportunities to do and you're a lover of golf, that's got to be high on the list.
Yeah, if we were there to golf, we would have played probably 8 times. Like
you can play all day. It's sunny all day. 5
Shout out
Charlie
from Sports Grid went on a show last week, and he went to Scotland, and he said he was there for 8 days and he played 13 times. Like he was just golfing. Like we would have loved to if we had the chance to. But
and because of it, as somebody who lives in New York and I never get to golf, and I've had the driver yips effectively. Like my driver has been completely boned for years, and it's made playing golf not very fun. By the end of this trip, I had fixed my driver. Like it's not fixed; it's not going as straight as it needs to go. But like the yip piece of it is out, and so shout out! I had to get back to the home of golf to let that marinate.
And like the first Open
ever. I fixed your putting too. Go left hand left.
It hasn't been great since then, but that last day was good. I think
I have to be there. Like when these guys don't, we always see their putting coaches are with them all the time. Like nobody is playing a practice round for the most part, without their putting coach like sizing them up. You need me there to keep fixing it. Like I can't just tell you and then go away for an extended period of time because your alignment's probably getting off. Like I think
I missed 7 within 6 feet this morning.
Yeah, okay. We need to talk about that.
In 9 holes.
Yeah, we'll get that cleaned up. I've got the golf itch, like it's back. Like I haven't had it in years, and going to Scotland got it going for me. But last thing on the Scottish, because people are probably bet him. They were on him. We were both on him, and it has to do with the carnage. It was the perfect example of what took place in this tournament. Sam Burns, my guy, my fucking guy. He's playing. It's perfect because he's playing the 3M. This is an ideal transition. Allegedly, he's playing the 3M. I assume he's going to show up. He needs to because he didn't get as many points as he thought he was going to get when he was T2 going to the final round. He never had a chance to win the tournament the first 2 days. I was like, Sam was +7 through 11 in the good wave. And I was like, the fuck is wrong with this guy? I was upset. Yeah. I was like, this sucks. What are you doing? He turns it around entirely. He gets white hot. He was the best player on the course on Friday and Saturday. Like if you just took those 2 rounds, he was probably the best player out there. The putter got hot. He was driving it long and straight. All the stuff that we saw in the practice rounds, he was doing. And when he posted 3 under, or when he got to 3 under with 17 and 18 to go on Saturday, I was like, yeah, let's get a couple pars here. And
those are good pars.
Yeah, I was like, we might be in the mix here because it just seemed like it was going to be. But it's still at that point, he was like 5-6 shots back because like Lowry got to 8 or maybe 9, and DB was playing great because they were on the front. And I was like, let's get pars. And then he made 2 scrambling pars, like really tough. I thought he was going to
9-footer and a 5-footer.
Saves par. But I knew it was over for him early in the final round because it was clear he was not comfortable with the wind.
Yeah.
The direction of the wind, he never looked. I texted some other friends of mine who have helped with the site historically. Shout out Mike and Steve. And I was like, Burns looks like he's having a contest to see who can hit the ball the highest today. He just like, he never looked comfortable at all. And he shot like 80. He completely ejected. My like state of the union is if you are in the mix going to the final round at a major, and I bet you, mission accomplished. That's all I want from a major. So I'm still happy with his week, honestly. Like getting into the mix.
You started 7 over and you were in the second to last group.
And you were 150 to 1. Like that's good enough for me. You give me something to be excited about the whole time at a major. Cool. But it was a very sad final round, and it showed the weakness that he has as a player. He doesn't have the shots that Xander has. Like he was pwned by the wind in the final round, absolutely decimated by it. He hit 2 OB over the week on 11. Like he could not handle where the wind was coming from with his ball flight, but he's playing better in the majors, and it's not going to be like this at every major. To me, Sam Burns is getting closer to winning a major because you get to a place like Quail, for example. He's going to have opportunities where he's looking better in the majors, and when the wind is down, if the wind had been down in the final round, he might have won the tournament. It wasn't. He got pwned, but that's my Sam State of the Union. I had to give the full take because he's my guy, but you were on him as well. What did you think of the performance?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've nailed Sam the last two majors. I thought that Pinehurst would be his best result, and then here would be the first time he actually gets into the mix, and those are perfectly on brand. And T40 generational wealth spot. Ended up being a little sweaty. He finished like T32. I was like, all right, like I'm getting nervous here, but he cashed that T40 easily. So shout out Sam. I think it's not. I wouldn't say it's coming soon, but it's on the right. It's on the right trajectory.
Perfect timing. Bang at an hour. Sam Burns is playing in the 3M Jers. That's this week's golf tournament, the 3M Open in 3M. Blaine, Minnesota. A tough event to handicap, in my opinion. Yep. I think it's straightforward enough in what you're looking for, or like it's straightforward enough in what you need to do good at the course. It's not straightforward in figuring out who are the guys who are going to do that thing good at the course. And I think so much of golf handicapping is, you can look at what matters on the week at that course, but if I can't figure out who is going to, be predictable in those areas, then it doesn't do me much good. And there's a reasonable amount of weeks of the year where those things line up and you're able to figure out the guys who match what's going to be needed at the course. Even other Birdie Fest event, people act like Birdie Fest or you can never figure out Birdie Fest. I've been doing pretty well in the Birdie Fest events earlier in the year because they make sense. Like you can start to put the picture. This one doesn't make as much sense. I think it's good driving keeps you out of the trouble, but it can't win you the tournament. But it's really a spike approach, spike putting contest. But you still need to drive it good, but you can't win the tournament with driving. You can only drive it so far. But if you're hitting the shit, getting penalties, then obviously you can't win the tournament. So that's what I think about it. But I think it's tough. What do you think about it? Have you hit? How have you done at the tournament before?
Not great. No, not great. I think this is one of the tournaments I've never really had any guys in the mix. So yeah, the 3M. I think on paper, like or like at a macro level, you're gonna want people are looking for like, all right, bombers, because when you see Cam Champ, Bryson in the mix, Matt Wolf win, bombers makes Tony. But then you look at the leaderboards outside of that, like they're not really always filled with bombers. Like
Scott Piercy almost won here.
Last year, Streelman was runner-up last year too. So driving distance obviously helps. I think total driving would be the stat you're looking for if you're looking for a driving distance guy, but also driving accuracy guys if they're avoiding the shit playing out of the fairway. And then from there, like you said, spike approach, spike putting, even if you're with the long irons, they're not like super intimidating iron shots outside of just like pretty stock TP. Like there's water, but it's like stock shot, like hit your number. So you could do that with a long iron. So yeah, you could take two paths off the tee, be a total driver, long and straight, or just be just a accurate guy.
And I think too, like you look at the winners here, even though they kind of make sense in retrospect, some of them, 4 out of 5 besides Tone were pretty long odds, like 80-1 or above. So yeah, just because you could look at this course and kind of get a feel for, okay, play from the fairway. If you drive it further, that's great. Spike approach, spike putting. I think that's been clear at this course for a while, and it's not like people are easily figuring out who's going to win the tournament. I think this is a pretty tough tournament to handicap, but we're going to try our best because that's what we do. The top of the board is Tone. He ejected in the second round last week, but he got eviscerated by the wind. I think that's too. You see all these things. It's like the rankings of this is the guy when the wind is 17.3 miles an hour to 21.4 miles an hour, and like that's the power rankings. Who fucking cares? Like it's all so different all the time. When the wind picked up at this tournament, Tony got absolutely decimated. So don't tell me he's some sort of like God's given greatest wind player ever. He didn't look like it this week, but he's the favorite in the tournament. He's 11-1, which I thought is actually pretty reasonable because Tony is clearly the best like fit for this course with how he's currently playing. He's won here before. We know that Tone wins in July. This is summer of Birdie, summer of Malbon, summer of Tone. I thought 11-1 was summer Sloan
in the field.
Keep actually reasonable. Get your eyes on Sloan. I thought 11-1 was like, I kind of give it a look. What do you think?
Yeah, the number that that drew the line with Tone from pre-tournament, or I wrote it up on Thursday was 13. I would give it a look at 13. Obviously, we're not there. So gonna pass on Tone, but I think it's a true litmus test of where his game is at. Because if he plays, if he's even in contention, we'll know that he somewhat cares. The fact that he wasn't really there at the Mexico Open tells me that he might not care. And that's been my take all season long, that Tone doesn't care about golf anymore. He just wants to make money and cater to his family and bring them to lit par 3 courses, which is fine. Like, he's caddying for his son now. So we'll know this week if he wants it. And I'm going to be a spectator in that sense. I'm not going to bet him. I DFS TBD, because that's a ownership thing, but I probably not. I think I love some other guys below him, and he'll be chalky. So you probably like Tone more than I do. The ball striking makes sense. The course fit makes sense. He's won here before, obviously, but I think the number's a little bit too short for me.
Yeah, I just think he was T8 at Memorial, T3 at the US Open, T5 at Travelers. Obviously played bad last week in the second round, played good in the first round, but then got destroyed by the wind in the second round. He was T2. He was T2 in Houston earlier this year at a place that he was going to a place that he's won before. I think it makes sense. Like
it's good golf. He's playing good golf. I just don't really feel the fight from Tone is what I'm getting at.
All right, we'll see. I don't think I'm going to bet him, but well. So what does
we felt the fight? We felt the fight at Pine. Remember we had that conversation. Like, we saw that it was the first time.
It was one of his best major finishes. Like, I guess my question would be, what does he need to finish this week for you to think he cares? Because finishing your best major finish in a while seems like he might.
No, it's more like when he I remember we talked about this at Pine, when he would fuck up in a bullshit event that he should be winning. Like, he picks up his ball out of the cup and he moves on. Like, at Pine, he was like actually pissed. Like, when he made that bogey on 13 or triple bogey, whatever it was, he was actually pissed, and he looked really pissed when he made a bad shot because he wanted to win. He hasn't done that outside of Pinehurst. So I think I would say maybe T6, T7 would be I care.
All right. I think he finishes T67. So I think we're going to see that from Tone. But
maybe you think he finishes what?
I think he finishes at least T6 or T7.
Oh, I thought you said T67. I was like, what?
He might, T67.
No, I think that's the parameter. Like, if he cares, parameter.
That's your over-under. Burns is 18. I think obviously Sam could win this event. Why couldn't Sam win this event?
Sam can win this event because he's driving it well. He's driving it really well, and if he's driving it well, he's got step 1 complete, and then from there, spike putting or spike approach. He can check those boxes. Tough to go from 165 to 18, but is that number for a reason? I mean, he's a winner. He wins once a year. It's a great spot. He seems like he's hungry. I worry that the loose drive can happen and eviscerate his tournament, but it's his driver trending in the right direction.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be for me this week. But I think the number.
I probably agree with you, but I think I think he'll play okay.
Like, I couldn't fault anyone who bets Burns at 18-1. That's
no
fault with that at all. Theegs versus Shay. We finally get him at the same price. We talk about Theegs and Shay, and we've been saying, why is Theegs always odds so much lower than Shay's? Because Shay now has won more than Theegs, and now they're both 22-1. They're up there near the favorites this week. Again, this field is so bad outside the top guys that I'm going to say for the most part, all these top guys can get in the mix and could win because they're just better at golf than these other guys. And this is the type of course where if you're just kind of good at everything, there's nothing that can stop you from having a great tournament. Who do you like more between Shay and Theegs?
I mean, they're probably a great matchup, and I think it's a great question. Like, who do you like more? There's a case for both of them. I really wonder the narrative around more Akshay than I do Sahith. I think Akshay might be more popular than Sahith because Sahith has really bad course history, but I don't care about that. I care about like the number and the volatility, and it's not a great number, but I could see myself getting to both of these guys, if not one of these guys, depending on like the state of the union on them. I'm not worried about Akshay in Scotland. You're not either. Yeah. That was a learning experience. He's went over, prepped all right. Wasn't for him. Okay. Now he's come back to the States at a course that should set up for him well. He's got the long end straight. And I think we both like him better with wedges than we do long irons, but he's fine on approach anywhere. And then can he spike putt? Question. He has before, and he has recently. But it's been recently. How well can he keep that putter going? Because he's a great lag putter. I kind of think I prefer more in difficult conditions. I could be wrong though. But how can he keep the 20 under up? We'll see. But I do like both of these guys. And with Sahith, he's got horrible course history, but I think that's going to drive his ownership way down and maybe his betting number up to 22 during the week if no one's going to be on him. And I like him. Like I really do.
He's 22 right now.
Okay, then maybe like 24. I think if no one's on him, but I think he opened more towards 20. I could be wrong.
Yeah, he is 20 in certain places, but I think I agree with pretty much everything you said. And I think for Akshay, like if you almost win Travelers and Rocket, you can obviously win 3M there. There's no reason why you can't do that. Oh yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense for Akshay. My only concern with him would be he also missed the cut at the PGA, and then he missed the cut the next week at Schwab. So, like, is he going to bounce? Does he want to bounce back and instantly try to like win again? I agree with you that we talked at the Open that like he didn't look that comfortable out there. We were going to. A lot of people were really high on him. We were not high on him.
He was sharp.
Yeah, we said this is a learning experience for Akshay. We love him long term at the Open. I mean, it makes sense. We saw a lot of those positional but good driver guys like Horschel and Rose were up there. That's the type of driving that Akshay can, and he did drive it well. Like it wasn't his driving that cost him, it was the other elements of the game. But you got Akshay back to point and shoot golf, the dude flushes it. So yeah, I'm down. I think I totally agree with you that if like I bet Shay is more popular than Theegs, I think I would still go with Shay. Like I think I trust him more this week. I think right now he's the better golfer than Theegs without a doubt. So I think I'd go Akshay, but I totally hear you on if the pricing is right on Theegs, that like why not? Because he could also obviously play good here. Luke Clance, he's popping in the models. Jers, I'm sure he's popping in everybody's models. There's not much data on him. He's going to pop in models when you don't have a lot of data on a guy who's absolutely nuking the ball from the tee. Is he the greatest driver of the golf ball in the history of golf?
He's up there. Like it's a joke what he's doing off the tee, and it will if he drives it anything like he does it. Like he's been driving it, it's going to treat him well. He's going to have mid irons, wedges into these greens. Like, I mean, if Matt Wolff pricing can get into the mix here at like a very young age, there's no reason Luke Clance can't. Like, maybe he's just freaking good. The price is truly absurd. Like, I don't believe Matt Wolff was this price.
No, it was like 100 to 1.
Yeah, and or even like because was that Bryson and Colin too that was in that mix? I don't believe that they were really expensive either. So, like, you're buying that young baby at, like, an absolute peak in pricing. I think we still have to wait till it goes down. Like, we nailed him at the Bake Disco. Like, he was the favorite. We're not chasing that. Like, let him do his thing. He'll play all right, and let the number get back towards the 50s, like, when he gets on tour. He's just getting sponsored into these, right? Or, like –
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So –
yeah, no, I agree. Like, it makes sense. I genuinely think he might be everybody like it's the Ludwig take. Like everybody hypes Ludwig, but because of his driving, Luke Land's a better driver than Ludwig. It's insane what he's doing off the tee. Like we've never seen. Like he's like Bryson off the tee. Yeah. It's fucking crazy. And so yeah, could he like just bomb one and get white hot with the rest of his game and win? Absolutely. He's starting on second base, but I don't think this course necessarily. If this was an all off the tee course, I would be like he can't be beat. I just need to like. I think
like all-star skills competition, like Luke Clance off the tee.
Yeah, they need to have that. But bring that up with the indoor golf.
I can't believe Nick Dunlap has 2 freaking wins.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. It's like Luke Clance is 28. And what I was wrapping up there was just saying I can't get there at the number on Luke Clance. I still think it's like ridiculous. But Clance at 28, you could still just bet Dunlap at 50. Like, is Dunlap going to win back-to-back? Probably not. But, like, why wouldn't we just bet Dunlap again? Because he's already
like, that's crazy.
He's insane. He's so good. And he won the U.S. Amateur and the U.S. Junior and the only guy since Tiger. Like, what more does Dunlap need to do to where people are like, this guy is absolutely amazing at golf? And I'm still on the record. Good. I don't think he breaks Nicklaus's record. That's my take.
And sadly, we're never going to get 500 to 1 again at a major because we might
though, because he's still 40. Why is he 45 to 1 this week?
Dude, like what we saw from Nick Dunlap at Valhalla was some of the most impressive stuff anyone could have ever seen. Absolute professional.
Like, it's just, is Dunlap going to win back-to-back?
50?
Yeah. But it's just like, that's the thing about Clanton's price. Is like, do you think, so basically for the rest of their careers, do you think Clanton is a better golfer than Dunlap? I think Dunlap has the best golfer of the young guys. What more does he need to do? What more does he have to do? He's the first one ever to win as an AM and a pro in the same season. He literally won the U.S. Junior AM and the U.S. AM. A lot of these young amateur guys who are the next up-and-coming studs, they don't never win those tournaments. Those are hard to win.
Yeah.
You get both of them. There's a reason only Tiger Woods comes up and talk about that. Like, it's amazing what he's doing. And he talked about it. We see it in the stats. When he first turned pro, he got rattled because he was like, holy shit, I'm pro now. There's no way.
And he said it.
Yeah. And now he's getting more settled and he's good at everything. His short game is the struggle, but he had a sick up and down to win yesterday. Like, again, this isn't saying for him this week, like it's tough to win back to back. I think he can play well. Maybe I'll bet him. I don't know. But he's so good.
I know you might bet him. The thing is with his short game, which is crazy that you said that. Like he's so smart. He knows it. Whenever I see him on the range, at every time I go, he's doing a towel tucked in drill, like a short little pitching drill, because he knows like, oh, this is my struggle. Let's dial this in because I want to break Jack's record. He knows the prop we set for him. So
yeah, he's driving.
Shannon is done. Like
he's
driving high, baby.
Yeah, he's driving it straighter now. He was really wayward when he first came out, but again, like, I don't give a shit what he was doing in the first 10 starts after he turned pro. Who cares? And now he's driving it straighter. His iron play is amazing. Like especially his long iron control is. I tweeted before the PGA. He's up there with like Rory, Scottie, and Xander in birdie or better from 200 plus. If you want to be a long-term stud on the PGA Tour, birdie or better from 200 plus, and he's already like unbelievably good at it.
I mean,
he's great.
As a Tuscaloosa native, it's really great to see. Like he's bringing it back home. So shout out Nate.
He's the first guy to win twice in his rookie year since Xander. I thought that was like a nice ribbon on the top of yesterday. Xander won, and he's got the game of Xander. Like he's good at iron play and putting. He can go low. That's what he's obviously good at so far is making birdies. But come on. 40, like again, it's not about this week, but if you just bet 45-1 Nick Dunn the rest of his career, you will make money. If you bet 45-1 Nick Dunn every event, I don't know how you could lose money doing that.
I want to see what he shot after Kuda because it might have been a record for Kuda scoring last week.
It was.
Okay. All right. So, mention Keith Mitchell real quick. The worst odds ever, maybe.
So that's what I was going to say. The guys in the 30s are Keegan, Keith, Hoagie, Billy Ho, Posty, Pendy, and CD. Do you like any of those guys? Who's the most fair?
I like Hoagie. He striped his irons, and he's like we said to lead the show. We don't need you to be a bomber. Like if Kevin Jones almost win it, if Grizzly Mike T can win this event, because Grizzly Mike Thompson won this event, right?
Yeah.
So if Grizzly Mike T can win this event, Tom Hoagie can win this event. So he's striping his irons. I mean, the off the tee is. Like his stat profile from last week was hilarious. He did everything poorly, but iron play the hits. That's Tom Hoagie, and that's all we need from Tom Hoagie. If he could stripe with the irons, get hot with the putter, down. And he's from this area of the country, home game.
But you don't like Hoagie in home games, right?
Isn't like he lives in Dallas. But like I think he's from like North Dakota. So like this is just like area of the country. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm down for Hoagie. I think I'd be out on the outright because his putter's cold right now. And the number, like every time I've ever gone down and bet Hoagie in like 30s and 40s, I've regretted it legitimately every single time. So I think for that reason, I'd be out. I don't love any of these guys. I don't think any of these numbers are very fair. I kind of like
is a joke.
He's so unserious. The next tier of guys is kind of where I start to like guys because we've got EVR, we've got Hadwin. I really like Hadwin. I already sprinkled actually a little bit on there was a 55 out there earlier. I grabbed some of that on Hadwin. I don't know if I'll add more. Like sometimes I see good numbers on guys that I might be interested in betting, and I'll grab a little bit of that. So Hadwin, I like. He's just a guy who can randomly spike with his approach play and his putting, and his
finished T6 here before.
Yeah, and his comp course history is insane. Like I put together a comp course ranking now that I do, and I put it in the model, and it's honestly been doing really, really well. Like I pick the comp courses in a very unique way. I feel like I try to be thoughtful about it, and he's insane on those. So Hadwin, I like. But then there's other guys in this range. I guess I wouldn't say I like these guys, but McNeely, Rogers, Dunlap, we just talked about, Thor, Kurt, BG, Sammy Steves, Rose is down here. I kind of like this next tier versus that last tier we talked about. But of those guys, the EVRs, the Hadwins, I'm sure they'll be popular. The Kurts, the BGs, the Stevens. Who do you like amongst those?
What's Stevens' numbers?
55, which is
so tough. I mean, I wrote up.
His iron play.
I know he's driver's nice. I wrote up and he finished T10 here last year. For Hadwin, I would be down if he was like 70, but he's what did you get him at 55? I still a fine number. BG, I like BG. Like he's just like I don't care what he did at the Open. Like he was never gonna play well. Also, like Cam Davis, we have to mention Cam Davis. He always hits the ball really well here, and just shout out our guy. He was prepping hard last week, and he probably really wants to play well. So
yeah, CD was there prepping the alts and the majors. They go like the next 5 alts will go in practice because they got to be ready enough. They get called up, and CD was there practicing. It's a disgrace that CD wasn't in the Open. What do we do? Like international player, Australia fits the vibe of
Ogletree. Ogletree was definitely an alternate too.
Yeah,
he had to have been.
No, Ogletree was in the field. Ogletree played.
He was.
Yeah. And so, like, to have a guy who just won on tour and finished T26 at the Jenny, basically won the Masters, to not allow him to play in the Open was disappointing because he's playing great golf. I think he could have played well at the Open. So,
do you think Horschel will be popular here? Because one of my friends said Horschel is going to be the most tipped, but I think there's no chance.
I think he'll be medium popular. I don't think he'll be most tipped. No, I don't.
Okay, I agree. Just wanted to ask.
But yeah, I like this next tier, guys. I agree with you on Griffin. He's the type of guy who doesn't drive it well. You wouldn't think he'd be good here, but he played here good last year, and he's obviously playing good in general. If you can play good to JDC, you can play here. I don't like Stevens that much to win. Like, I think I agree with you because on the off the tee and the putting, he was T10 here last year, losing on both approach and around the greens. I just don't see any reason why this week he's going to gain on approach or around the greens. I think he probably plays the same level of golf, and I don't think it's enough necessarily to win.
It's a tough number too for no reason. Like, but you said that he's always at a horrible number.
He is. He's always at a horrible number. The guy I thought I was going to be a sneaky play for me was Griot. For some reason, he's 55.
Me too.
Like, why is he 55? He's 55 to 1.
I think it's a good. I don't think it's a bad number though. Like
Griot. Like, I agree with you that it's not horrific because he always plays good here. But I just thought it would be so much longer. He's not playing good at all. It's all the only reason he's that number.
He's hitting his irons well. His irons well. I like Rio. I do like Rio.
There's Meissner. I almost bet Meissner last week. Because he was really high in the model. Like, I was going to be pretty disappointed if he won because I came so close to betting him. I'm glad I didn't and saw that though, because going forward,
he's diffy seas, I think.
That scared. I feel like we're learning about Meissner because he's clearly a talented player. Like, he pops in the models each week. His stats are really good. He seems like
he's across the board.
He beat Bryson's scoring record at SMU. Like, he's been known as he got off the Corn Ferry very quickly. He's clearly a nice player. And I had never really seen him play that much, but even watching him with the CUDA, like, nice swing. Very, like, just looks the part of like a serious golfer. That performance in the final round will probably keep me from betting him for an extended period of time. He didn't look like he wanted it at all.
No, he looked very uncomfortable. And I only tuned in for the final 5 holes of Dunlap. So I mean, I saw like his final back 9 or final 8 holes looked very uncomfortable, and he missed a bunch of opportunities because when Nick posted his number, I was like, all right, like, he posted a number, maybe play off. Like, but the fact that he won by 5 points, or 4 points. Like, they didn't even come close. Shout out Vince Whaley. Like to see him pop.
Yeah, he's a poor man's Wyndham Clark.
Yeah, literally.
Like, legitimately.
Literally.
They look the exact
same. It might be even really poor man's because Wyndham is in a very, I don't even know what to describe.
We texted about this, but like, obviously you had Xander, I had Rom in there, I had Burns. Like, our fades were great. All the popular plays that when we were standing there watching, like, these guys have no fucking chance, like, at all. The fades were good, and Windy was absolutely one of them.
When he was fade 1-1. Yeah.
He
so unserious, but I think he knew that, like, he had no chance. I'm like, I'm just gonna fuck around here. Just gonna rip driver all around.
He's basically playing like me when I got mad and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna hit driver on every hole. I don't care where it goes. And it usually went far left. I'm a lefty, and his go far right. So a similar game. Maybe I'm Wyndham. Maybe that's my my comp. But who else? Maybe not quite to the triple digits. Our boy Rico's finally making putts. That's great to see. He's been playing well regularly. Nap
Benny
75.
Silves, dude.
Benny Silves. Svensson absolutely fucked us last week, but he could still play good. Seamus has been random year of the week a lot.
Hodges has always had crazy numbers.
BSB's in this range. Neil Ship. Eck could play good here. Rio. Like,
Where's
there's a lot. X90. There's a lot going on in
What?
the 60 to 100 range. A lot.
Eck making a cut at the Open is so impressive. Like that's just like good golfer.
Eck can
Good.
absolutely win this event.
And the fact that like he made the cut with the front nine playing into the wind on Thursday and Friday, because that was his game. Like he had to get the front nine only, and the fact that he did that on the front nine, very impressive. And he finished T16 here, dude. I'm 90 for Eck, and I'm down for Ben Sills again. I'm down for Ben Sills. First round leader last week, so let's go.
Yeah, I don't hate Ben Sills. What can Thristy do? I'm sure people are wondering. He's 80-1.
That's probably funny because they're gonna bet him at 80-1, and then he might miss the cut. Because
he could play great. He could play terrible, but it's impossible.
He could put multiple balls in the water off the table.
Yeah, impossible to know what he brings to the table. Random Euro of the week. Anybody you got your eyes on in the random Euro of the week coming off of Dan Brown's performance? I think in general, random Euro of the week continues. They're always up there. There's always a random Euro of the week in the mix.
I like I might have to move it to men random South American of the week because Santiago is in the field. Flusher. Santiago's in the field. They put him in a late sponsor exemption. They might have been listening to our pod.
Santiago de la Fuente. Yeah, we're high on Santiago long term. He's from Mexico. Pretty far from random Euro of the week, but
sorry.
But it's still random. Oh, actually, maybe it's random South Americans of the week because Toasty at 250 is disrespectful. Toasty 250.
Yeah. It does not, like I said, I'll say this every week. It does not matter about his form. You get him on a course where he can hit driver.
He could and he can spike with his approach and his putting. It just is. It's so rare that he does it, but he can do it. And at 250-1 with a course where bombers have had success, I'm down for some Toasty. So it may not be random Euro of the week this week. It might be random because Johnny Vegas has played well here as well. It could be random South American of the week instead of random Euro of the week this week.
This is definitely a very out there one, but I have an odd hunch about Bud Cauley this week.
I like Bud. I always like Bud.
This is the last time he's gained strokes across the board, and that was in 2019 before his incident. And he hasn't done it very many times in his PGA career. And he's not been playing great, but he's kind of popped at random twice this year. He's in the top 10 on a Saturday. So down for Bud on a TPC course. I'm sure his number is pretty deep.
Yeah, he's 250. Luke
List. So Bud Toasty, Cardone.
Yeah, actually maybe. If we're just naming like super long shots that the prices you're kind of like, because in this type of field, that's a reasonable strategy. Just be like, these numbers don't really make sense on these long shots and just bomb. Like Luke List has played terrible golf, but he's 300-1. Luke List can win at this type of course. Why not?
Yeah, he will hit fairways. I mean, he's just been playing so bad. So
my super random though, I don't actually believe List will play well. I was just listing him as a guy deep down the board who theoretically could win, has like the game to do it, and in this type of field, why not sling some of those guys? But my true random of the week, and actually before we get to this, how have we made it an hour 27 without shouting out Minkyu Kim?
I was gonna say that earlier.
Kim. He was my random long shot of the week last week. Minkyu Kim. What a player.
That was the best call of anyone. I'm sure you could have gotten. What did he finish?
He faded in the final round, unfortunately, but I still think he finished all right. Hold on. He finished in T31. I think top 40 was like big numbers.
I was going to say, it was probably bigger than a Xander outright. I'm like not even kidding.
Yeah, I think it was probably like 15 to 20.
That was the call of the week that you had.
Yeah, I saw him. He's this guy, Minkyu Kim. Obviously, the people in the on the site and in the Discord saw it. I hope they played some Minkyu. I'm sure if you played Minkyu in DFS, I mean, I'm not a huge DFS guy, but that had to help you, right? If you had if you had Minkyu in the lineup at fucking probably the lowest, he probably like the lowest price you could possibly be. He stripes off like all these young South Koreans kind of play the same.
Looks
game.
Like a pro.
Yeah, stripes off the tee, look like a pro. And just kind of be good at everything. The Sungjae, the Siwoo, the TK model of like player. He's next up. Like I saw with this guy is next up. He stripes it down. We thought it was Siwoo when we first saw him. He stripes it down the middle. The irons are good. He played like I was wondering what his stats were, just to get like a view of his profile. Yeah, this is Minkyu. He gained.
This is Minkyu.
This is Minkyu's game, dude. 2.5 off the tee. 3-ish, 3.5-ish with the putter, 2.5 straight on the greens. He lost on approach, but that could be the wind. Like we're not going to hold that
Yeah,
against him.
no, that was definitely the win. That was definitely the win.
Yeah, like that's the great thing too about Troon is you can blame anything that went wrong with your player on the win. Is Minkyu is the youngest winner ever on the Challenge Tour. Now he's over in Korea honing his game. Keep your eyes on Minkyu. If he ever gets into the Wyndham, I will move heaven and earth to bet every dollar that I have on Minkyu and the Wyndham to follow in TK and Sam's footsteps. But that was to preface my long shot of the week this week to see if we can. And now this isn't as likely to hit because last week's hit because I saw Minkyu with my own eyes. Like it was a Boots experience. Only Boots can bring you the long shots of the week, I would say, with any level of confidence. Mine this week is a flusher who will pop from time to time per year, can gain infinity with his irons from time to time. David Lipsky. That's my
Davey Lips. He had the PGA Tour record for strokes gained approach this season before Scottie dwindled it. And that was I forget where it was.
It was at Schwab. The reason I like him is because it was at Schwab, and both Hodges and Finau have gained over 4+ on approach at Schwab the same year that they won the 3M. Like it's the approach profiles are similar between Schwab. And so if you can break the approach record for like anyone not named Scottie Scheffler at the course that's the best approach comp for me of the week.
Wow. What about Chandy Phils?
100% down. 100% down for Chandy Phils.
All right. Yeah. That's all I need
to say.
Like
any of these guys who have been flushing on the iron play courses, you just bet a lot of guys who could spike on approach, who have at least done it before. Yeah. Like I think that's going to basically be my strategy is bigger cards. I don't love a lot of the top. I could easily pass on the top. There's nothing that's like screaming my name. Like I have to bet these guys at the top. Right. It's like Akshay is a guy who's usually like 60 to 70. He just recently started becoming a 25s, 22 golfer. And yeah, I bet him at Rocket at those odds and he almost hit. So I'm not completely out on it. But all these guys are kind of the same level of golfer, except Tone, in my opinion. I think everybody else is kind of the same.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is definitely a week to spread the board for sure.
Live, we've got some Live. It's a new course on Live. It's Live UK, I think now instead of Live London.
Yep.
Course looks kind of sick.
GCB Golf and Country Club. Yeah, it looks like a prototypical Live spot to head to a new course. But this course hosted the JCB Championship, not a challenge tour, a Euro
Legends
tour,
like the Champions Tour of
Legends Tour. So but I do think it's going to be one of those courses where that the Live goes to that like looks pretty nice visually, but they're going to tear up. Like Alex Chayka got to 11 under in 3 rounds, so I do think that it's going to be taken pretty deep.
We saw
he was there. That's right. So I think it's going to be pretty deep. And
we should bet the Senior Opens this week. And we saw a lot of this. And we saw a lot.
Oh, you're right.
And we saw a lot of the senior golfers. So
Leonard.
we know the links and we know the senior golfers. I think we should rip the links.
And it's not Carnoustie, right?
Yeah, a serious ball strike. Like there's comp between.
Wait, Padre played well this week.
And Xander almost won at Carnoustie and Xander won at Troon. So there's clearly a comp here. We're betting the Senior Tour.
Padre's going to be like 4-1, but I'm down. Can we find odds on this like right now?
Yeah, I'm looking. The Live people are losing their minds.
Yeah, you find the odds. I'll talk about Live while you find the odds.
You talk about Live while I find the.
So it's par 71 around 7,300 yards, I believe. It doesn't seem overly long, but I really do think it's going to be a week where guys are going to take it low. And I really do think it's going to be a week. It's actually a question I want to pose. Like, how are the guys that played the Open going to fare? If you're, I feel like Rahm was the only guy that was somewhat in contention. Maybe Neiman before he imploded. So
I like Neiman this week. I do. Of course, I just like Neiman. But what I was going to say was like, yeah, I went through their website. They had like a hole by hole thing. Also, if you're a golf course hosting a professional golf tournament and you don't have the hole by hole on your website, that's unacceptable. Because
unserious.
All these, and we always look at this on the DP, but it was nice. This course had something that kind of at least let you kind of see what it was. So many of them said a big hitter can carry it over these bunkers. A shorter hitter needs to aim over here. Like it was like every hole said that. So I think it's just going to be bombers and then approach players. And on Live, those tend to be the best guys and a lot of the guys who are at the Open. So and none of them really mixed that hard. Like Rahm tried to get into the mix at the start of the final round. Yeah. I kind of think, I usually wouldn't say this, but I tend to, it feels to me like one of the bigger names wins. And we saw that after at Live Live Nashville, right after the U.S. Open, where Hatton won. Like Hatton's not the biggest of big names, but he's one of the better players. So I kind of like Neiman. I kind of like he can play good.
I mean, big names win on Live. Like they don't always get in the mix, but they win outside of like Brennan Steele. They win, and I mean, Los is a big name. Los is a big name.
yeah.
I mean, we're in Houston too. He's like the president of Houston.
I like Los this week actually, but I'm sure his odds suck. I like Dean.
He was there.
Hit it. He played good at the.
You got the Senior Open odds?
Yeah, I do. I've got them. What I was also opening up was the scoreboard so that we could see who finished highest at the Open and what their odds are to see if there's any value here, because the lowest odds is Padraig at plus 470, but he just finished T22.
So sharp. I was like, he's gonna be plus 400.
He gained so much tee to green. He was flushing.
So he's the favorite.
He's the favorite. Then Steven Alker is plus 850. Bernard is 1300. KJ Choi 18. Stephen Ames 18. Miguel Angel Jimenez 20. Some guy named Richard Green 20. Some guy named Doug Barron 20. YE Yang 20. Chaka's 25. Darren Clark is 30. Darren was striping. He almost had a hole in one on the postage.
Yeah, on the postie. He's 30. I mean, honestly, like
no hole in one was a terrible beat. Siwoo making
I didn't bet it.
I know, but Siwoo making an ace on 17, the only ace is insane.
Yeah, that is a bad beat.
That's a bad beat.
Honestly, like Patty T5 might be Jen Wealth.
Yeah, it might. Because did any of the rest of them make the cut? I'm looking.
I'm looking at his history at current.
Oh, while I'm scrolling down the leaderboard, shout out to Jacob Skolf Olesen, Viking Cup, made the cut, was in the battled for low am. Awesome to see. What was your Nico got off to a good start for you, and then he ejected.
Yeah, honestly, looking at my card in the first day leaderboard, I was like, I had to double take how many guys I had within the top 7, and then they all like evaporated very quickly. But yeah, Nico played well like until the weekend. He was 175-1. That's fine. I will bet him
the
at that
field. I mean,
he didn't look great, and we knew he didn't look great.
We could talk about the Open like we said forever,
dude,
but
Patrick what I like striped last week. He gained 7 on approach.
Who did?
Patrick Harrington.
Yeah, he striped last week. He striped last week. The other guys were Chaka made the cut and Clark made the cut. So
2 Senior Opens, 2 runner-ups
for Patrick.
Yeah, like this might be a true. Let's do it, and I'm gonna see what he's done at Carnoustie. Carnoustie golf links and Carnoustie. He's got a win in 2007 at Carnoustie, and that's it. All kind of bad for him, but a win.
If he won the Open at Carnoustie.
I didn't even think about that.
So on the senior tour so far, in his last 25 starts, he has 3 wins, including the Dick's Open. You earn Dick's Opens. You earn Dick's Opens. So there might be better odds out there. This is FanDuel plus 470, but like I'd be down because we always say this. What do we say to people who don't bet? That like they only bet the majors. We say like bet the favorites if you want to, because like ROI doesn't matter to you because you're not doing this every week. Right. I've never bet the senior tour in my life. So
yeah,
if I can get 5-1
I think I'll be in the mix.
If we can get 5-1 on Padraig, that might be something we bet.
You think, and especially because Blandy's not here. Blandy's definitely pissed because Blandy would be minus 200 to win.
Yeah, because this Steven Alker guy, how's he played in the Open?
I mean, he stripes on the Challenge Tour. I mean,
I know he does, but like, does he do it at the Open? Because this is the Open. The reason we like Padraig so much is because this is an entirely different type of golf. I'm looking at his senior major record. He finished T3 and T11. He only has 1 senior major, and it was the senior PGA. So and then we've got Longer. He's been hurt. Longer hasn't been playing.
Yeah, he's not a threat. He's not a threat.
It's a big. What is Ernie else? Is Ernie in the field?
No, Ernie withdrew last week.
Ernie withdrew
last week. Okay, I think he's hurt. Leonard's 75-1 though. That could be a threat.
Yeah, I like that. Leonard looks good out there. But yeah,
No one's beating Pod. No one is beating Pod.
Hold on, I was gonna look at his senior major record.
Dude,
he's still like legitimately good at golf. Not like senior good at golf, like legitimately good.
He finished what did he finish at the Open? Like T30 something or T20?
T22.
Dude, that is legit playing golf. You
Wait,
don't just do that.
he's only played 2 senior majors, the Senior Open twice, according to Wikipedia. I don't
Both runner-ups, right?
Yeah, maybe this goes back longer. It says second both times.
That's what I saw too. That's what I saw too. Dude, I am so in. Plus
Oh, that makes sense.
470,
He's only 52, so he's only been on the challenge for 3 years.
and he wants it bad. That's that Kerner's tee.
Yeah.
Ball striking. I mean, he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th in the field in ball striking at the Open. 10th. You know, there's a lot of good guys in that field. A lot of good players in that field.
And it was on a very similar golf course to and not just similar, but also drastically different than 99% of the courses. Like these other guys who haven't been playing the links, they're gonna get to Carnoustie and they're gonna be like, the fuck is this? Like, I don't want to deal with this. Padraig's gonna get to he woke up
to start. I'm waking up so early this week.
And then we have a reason to watch Carnoustie because link season.
God.
It's another Scottish one too. How often? I doubt it. Maybe it happens all the time. I don't know, but like the Open, the Scottish, and the Senior Open all being in Scotland 3 straight weeks. We're Scotland guys.
That is.
Speaking of being Scotland guys,
we've had so many ends. Like this is amazing.
This is far and away my favorite pod that we've ever done. This is wide ranging. BK started like an international incident with Scotland.
True. Like
NATO. the guy who quote tweeted him like shitting on America, saying that everybody like shoots each other here, got like millions of views on Twitter. Like everyone, even people who know nothing about golf, like he pitted Scotland and America against each other, and we're Scotland guys. Like I would never ever say a bad word about Scotland. Honestly, like if it rained, that's fine. Like we were there when it was nice. Like we saw nice Scotland, but I love Scotland, and so it was insane. And I felt so sad to see BK and Scotland, and it was hilarious. Like that was insane.
Yeah, and truthfully, like that was a big moment for Scotland because they don't have like much interaction. So between the Viking War and this, that might be their 2 biggest like national like wars.
Yeah, like,
they might make a plaque. There might be a city named after BK.
Yeah, like BK literally said nothing mean at all. Like literally such a benign like statement. But because that is of the whole year, Scotland will not be more well known across the world than the 4 days of the Open. I don't like. Yeah. That's just a fact. I wish that wasn't the case because I really like Scotland, but that's what it's going to be like. That's its moment in front of the world this year. And the people of like the UK and every country, people are prideful about their country. We're prideful about America. For the most part, people have pride in their country, but that guy nuked BK. He came at him so hard, and then it became an international incident. That was wild. I don't know. I don't have like a take. I'm just saying that was wild.
No,
we should have BK on to talk about it.
I'm sure he'll talk about it. I'm sure he has plenty of Scott. Yeah, definitely tune into TMB if you've never heard of it.
Yeah,
Patty's been placed, by the way.
Good. I'm gonna get it in a second. But yeah, listen to TIB this week because I need to hear Brian's take on BK. Should invite that guy onto the pod to speak on Scotland and the US but we were just saying earlier in the pod, the pub people in Scotland weren't nice to us. So
right.
Where do you, on a scale of now we're going to turn the Scotland people against us, which isn't our intention because like I said, we love Scotland, but I love BK the most. BK is a close personal friend. I can only love BK more than the country of Scotland. Be illogical for me to love Scotland more. What on a scale of 1 to 10 Scots, like would you go back to Scots? Did you like how do you feel about it when you saw BK fight in a fight with Scotland? Did you think like, damn, I love Scotland, or I hate, like, what was your take?
Well, you have more to compare it to than I do because like I said, it was the first time I've ever left the country. But we had so much fun. The golf there was insane. And the people were not like the people at the course were nice. And then I feel like outside of that, they weren't. But like overall, solid. Like I think we're gonna go back maybe next year. I mean, not to Scotland, but to
Royal Ports,
that area of the country,
Northern Ireland.
Royal Ports,
I've never
been.
I'm excited for that because we're so deep in the pod we can talk about whatever. But like, I'm a big politics and history guy. Like I love to study that stuff. And Northern Ireland is like obviously there's been a lot of history there. To go to Northern Ireland, to go to Royal Ports, next year's Boots is going to be sick. But I would say, like, yeah, the people at the golf course, and obviously the Scotland fans are the most knowledgeable golf fans in the world. They invented the game. Everybody is nice golf related. I've been to other countries where the people are maybe a little bit more friendly when you're out and about, but I think it's also, I'm from Seattle. It's cold and wet in Seattle all the time. And
we knew how to find the summer when it wasn't there.
Seattle is known for the Seattle freeze. That's what people say about Seattle. They're like, you come to Seattle and people aren't nice to you. They're not welcoming. If you went to the pub in Seattle or the bar, no one would also talk to you there. So I get where they were coming from. It gets cold and wet. And then people only come and visit you in the summer when the weather's nice. You're kind of like, fuck off. Like, this is our area. But BK got nuked by Scotland Twitter. And I really think that he should bring someone from Scotland onto the pod, onto TIB to rekindle the relationship between Scotland and America, because it was a wonderful week across the P for us. A wonderful Open for the viewers. I think if somebody didn't like this Open, they're not for me as like a person that I would want to talk about golf with. It's what I
overall person. No, I agree. I mean, unreal week. I mean, unreal Boots got so much done. I hit 3 winners in a week. How could I be upset? I'll remember this week forever. So shout out Scotland.
Shout out Scott. Shout out the week. Get over to the site. $9.99. We'll be talking 3M. We'll be talking Live, of course. We need to hit a Live winner. I think we're now, and so we were 3 out of 8. We're 3 out of 10. Still an astronomical pace, but it would really be nice to go to like 4 out of 11. So I'm really going to try to focus on Live this week. I don't think I've been given it its proper level of due. Maybe the last few weeks, I'm really going to dig in and try to find the winner on Live. So, Jers, it's been great. I'll talk to you later.
Peace.